Vienna, widely known as the city of classical music, is seeing growing interest in Korean traditional percussion. Local residents are even taking classes to learn instruments and rhythms from Korea's traditional performance culture. Today, we'll talk with Shin Dong-ho, director of the Korean Cultural Center in Austria, about the appeal of Korean traditional music and why it is resonating with audiences there. Hello, Director Shin.
Hello, Director.
Hello.
Happy to have you on the show, Director Shin. So first and foremost, before we go into the classes in Austria, could you maybe introduce to our viewers the most well-known forms of Korean traditional percussion? And also, where do you usually encounter that here in Korea?
So, Janggu is a style of performance in which the musician sits and skillfully plays delicate, highly technical Janggu rhythms. And Samulnori is a creative performing art in which four percussion instruments, 북, Janggu, 꽹과리, and Jing, play in harmony to create a dynamic, energetic performance. In Korea, these performances are commonly seen at holiday events such as Korean New Year, 설날, and Chuseok, as well as at local festivals.
Right, great. And now let's talk about your classes. So please introduce the classes you run in Vienna and also what motivates local participants to join them and what kinds of people tend to enroll in your classes.
So currently, Park Chan-ju, who is coming from the Korean National University of Arts, is leading 3 Janggu classes and 2 Samulnori classes at our center in Austria. Tailoring the lessons to the level of beginners, she starts from the basics, such as the names of the instruments, how to hold the sticks, and proper playing postures, and progresses step by step. The Janggu classes are based on the Samdo Janggu style, while the Samulnori classes focus on the Uttari Samulnori style. Local participants are primarily people with a keen interest in Korean culture in general, including the Korean language and traditional instruments. They usually find us through Instagram or recommendations from friends who have already taken the classes at our center. The age range of participants is pretty diverse, spanning from their 20s to their 60s. While I don't know everyone's specific occupations, most are professionals with full-time jobs or homemakers raising children who participate to find a source of vitality in their daily lives.
Wow. Great to see how big that interest is and also how approachable these classes seem to be.
It does look very interesting by the videos that we've just seen. So when it comes to Korean traditional percussions, there's so many appeals from how it looks to how it sounds. So what aspects of it seem to fascinate the classes or the participants the most?
So they are discovering the appeal of Korean traditional percussion in many ways, from its visual aspects to the elements that distinguish it from Western music. First, they are deeply interested and fascinated by the unique appearance of the instruments and the distinctive playing techniques themselves. Musically, they find the rhythm sense of the 3/4 time, a unique rhythmic structure to Korean traditional music, extremely fascinating. In particular, in the Samulnori class, they seem to experience incredible joy and satisfaction when their breathing and timing perfectly align while performing and adding core and response together.
All right, and Korean traditional percussion, as you said, has its own unique rhythmic structures and so-called 장단 patterns. So, Director Shin, are there any aspects that Austrian students find especially challenging when learning Janggu or Korean percussion instruments?
The most challenging aspect is the unique rhythmic structure of mixed time signatures combining 3/4 and 2/4 time. It tends to take some time for students who are accustomed to the conventional metronome beat to grasp the push and pull rhythm characteristic of traditional Korean music. They also find it unfamiliar to memorize and vocalize rhythmic cues such as dong, pung, da, bugum, which are written and expressed solely in Korean, rather than using a musical score. Additionally, the ensemble style of playing, where musicians face each other and synchronize their rhythm through eye contact and breathing without a Western-style conductor, is something they initially find awkward. However, as they practice repeatedly, they internalize the rhythms physically and become noticeably more comfortable. We feel a great sense of fulfillment when the students overcome their initial awkwardness and gradually perform the melodies beautifully.
Great to hear of that fulfillment coming from both the teachers and the students. But what kinds of songs or rhythmic patterns are students actually learning during the classes? And also among the instruments used in Janggu or Samulnori, as you mentioned, are there any that local students seem to especially enjoy or find interesting?
In our current classes, the 설장구 class focuses on 삼도 설장구, and the 사물놀이 class focuses on the rhythms of 웃다리 사물놀이. The instruments that students find particularly interesting and enjoy are the Janggu and the 꽹과리. Janggu is the most widely recognized of all traditional Korean instruments, and unlike other instruments, it is played using both hands differently, which seems to give it a dynamic appeal. The 꽹과리 seems to attract students with its surprising contrast. Despite its small, cute appearance, it produces an incredibly loud sound. Students seem particularly drawn to it because it plays the role of leader in Samulnori, guiding the entire ensemble and signaling the rhythm.
And for myself too, 꽹과리 is the sound that sticks with me the most within the Korean traditional percussions as well.
I'm also a 꽹과리 person.
Yes. So Austria is famous for the music of composers like Mozart and Beethoven. So compared to classical music traditions, what kind of unique appeal do local audiences seem to find in these Korean traditional percussions? And also, while you're running your classes, are there any particularly memorable reactions or stories from students that you can recall?
While Western classical music is standardized through sheet music, traditional Korean percussion is characterized by the dynamic energy and freedom created through direct physical interaction. It seems that the 신명, the sense of joy and excitement from making eye contact and communicating with one another, is what truly captivates the locals. In fact, there was an Austrian student who used to feel anxious about performing without sheet music. At first, he struggled greatly with the unfamiliar Korean vocal cues like dong, kung, da, and the lack of sheet music. But after he gradually learned in this class, he is now able to perform in an ensemble even without sheet music.
And last but not least, Director Shin, are there any upcoming programs related to Korean traditional culture being planned at your center? And are there any other aspects maybe of Korean culture that you would especially like to introduce to local audiences in the future?
This year, the Korean Cultural Center Austria plans to introduce various aspects of traditional Korean culture to Austria. First, during the first week of July, we will host the Inspire Me Korea Hallyu Festival at the Donauinselfest, the world's largest outdoor music festival. Through activities such as hanbok try-ons, Korean food booths, and traditional Korean games, we aim to introduce traditional Korean culture to more Austrians and Europeans. In addition, we plan to continue promoting Korean traditional music, food culture, and clothing culture through the Hallyu Festival scheduled for September, as well as Chuseok and National Day events in Vienna. Furthermore, in response to the diverse demand for Korean culture in Austria, the Korean Cultural Center will introduce not only music such as K-pop and Samulnori, but also K-food and K-beauty, which have recently gained significant popularity locally. We will also strive to ensure that more people in Austria and Central and Eastern Europe are exposed to and develop an interest in Korean culture by introducing various aspects of Korean culture, including contemporary art, film, literature, and history. Please continue to show your interest in support for the Korean Cultural Center in Austria. Thank you.
We sure will. Wow, there is a lot coming up, and especially having Korean culture at the Donau. I think that's going to be fascinating. Thank you very much, Director Shin, for connecting with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bella. As always, we're going to have you back here very soon.
Yes, I'll see you back soon.